So for everyone on the call, this is Ben Cole and Grant Horvath at ERP Connect Consulting. This is our next installment of Toolbox Tuesdays, where we'll be focusing on our dashboard bundle. So a lot of people on this call know the drill, but if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us in the chat box. If you're a fan of the reaction button on the top of your screen, send us some thumbs up when you see something you like. And Ben, let's dive into that agenda. So what we're going to go through today, everyone, with the 43 minutes that we have, is we are going to start off with the current gaps in Business Central Cloud. We're going to dive into the solutions that our dashboard bundle solves with. Ben's going to hop into a 30 to 35-minute live demo where we'll actually go through the financial dashboard, sales dashboard, history and statistics, and warehouse dashboard. We'll finish it off with the next steps and resources, and then we'll dive into that Q&A. So without further ado, let's talk about the gaps here. Number one, we all know it, Business Central out of the box doesn't really have too much in the form of dashboarding. You know, there's a few PDFs. You can get a lot of data out of it. You can put a lot of data in, but when it comes down to it, there aren't those beautiful visualizations. Number two is BC users may not know what KPIs or metrics they need on day one. And it actually takes a decent amount of time for partners and users to come up with a custom solution for those KPIs and metrics. And users may not be ready for a large reporting investment to start as well. So what are the solutions to these gaps? Number one, 4 out-of-the-box dashboards focused on financial, sales, warehousing, and master data. Every single one of our dashboards, along with all of our other extensions, are built natively into Business Central, and these dashboards have over 75 KPIs in one place. You'll probably hear Ben and I say one-stop shop at least a few times in this presentation. All of these dashboards are $1,600 a year price per tenant, which makes them very cost effective. And if you're a consultant, or if you're the head of IT or the main admin for Business Central on this call, it takes under 30 minutes to configure and train on each dashboard. So we make these incredibly plug and play, easy to use. But without further ado, you know us, we're going to hop right into that live demo. Ben, take it on over.
Awesome. Thank you, Grant. So can you confirm still that you can see my Business Central instance here?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So we've got about 35-ish minutes to go through everything, which I know is a tightly packed agenda. So we're going to hit kind of the highlights on all of our dashboards. I'm going to start with the financial dashboard here because it continues to be our most downloaded app, our most purchased app, and honestly a fan favorite when it comes to both partners implementing for their clients and then getting a lot of positive end user feedback. We just got a review late last week from a client who said basically he's been kind of looking for this his whole BC life. So definitely want to jump into this one and have it be the main focus. The thing I'm going to start on here is our accounts receivable overview. So like Grant said, you know, you go into Business Central on day one, you see that PDF or you show your client that PDF and it's just gets a lackluster response, right? They want something more and this is there to give them more, right? So in our AR, we can see how much we have per bucket. If I want to, you know, let's say look at my 91 to 120, I can click into that and it shows me all of the transactions that are there. I can also see that I'm just in an out-of-box table, right? I'm in the customer ledger entries. So using some visualizations that we've created, but then hooking into the out-of-box information that's already there in Business Central to give it a more streamlined approach, right? If you want, you can quickly see all of your customers and their balances, as well as how much of those balances is past due. And then kind of in your traditional AR details, right down here, we've got all of our customers, their information, maybe city, state, maybe a contact with a phone number, their credit limit, the last time they paid us, what their payment terms are. This average paydays, think of this as a day sales outstanding per customer. So here we can then take our terms, 7 days, compared to on average how long it actually takes that customer to pay us, right? 123. Because of that, and this is a new feature that we've recently added, we're going to now flag them as a late payer, and we're going to highlight them in red here so that it can kind of stick out, right? Maybe you want to do an analysis just on your late payers. You can easily sort, so it's very intuitive. And you could also, sort on average paydays, let's say. So if you wanted to just see who's taking the longest to pay, sorted high to low, then you can compare some of this and say, okay, this one is 15 days in terms of their terms, but on average they're paying in 19. You can then use that to kind of, more qualitatively analyze that data and say, well, they're always 4 days late, but they're still paying in 19 days. So I'm not going to give them a call. Whereas, maybe this customer that has a $288,000 balance, they're always paying on 123 days and they're always late and they've got a huge 121 plus balance. Those are the types of people that we may actually want to give a personalized phone call. Everybody else, we may just be able to use a tool like our invoice and statement delivery tool to kind of automate and streamline the AR, those reminders, those statements, things like that, in hopes that we don't get to the point that we have to call them. But this is kind of that good health check to see where's all of our customer activity at and all that jazz, right? So with that, again, I always like to start on the AR piece. Our AP, it's going to look exactly the same, but for our vendors, and again, just for the sake of time, I'm just going to go through the highlights today and kind of the why behind why we built these dashboards. The next one I like to showcase is our general tab. Again, we're still on that financial dashboard, keep in mind. So we just were on the AR. Now we're going to hop over to the general. Think of this as the health check in general for your business, right? So I'm going to start over here with the balance checks. I can quickly see that my AP, my bank accounts, my prepayments, and my bank account liabilities, they all tie out perfectly, right? However, my inventory and my AR were slightly off here. And again, think of that as your check engine light, right? It's kind of indicating you that, okay, you need to go, take it into the dealership or get some service on it or figure something out, right? So in this case, our ARGL does not tie to our subledger, right? That's a no-no. We need to go fix that. We need to make sure those are in balance, and then we need to make sure that direct posting is turned off for that GL account so that your subledger and general ledger will not get out of balance, and so that you're forcing that control account to only be posted to that customer, which again is then tied to your posting group. So think of that as your health check. I know a lot of people like this, especially at go live, because that's a point in time where you're doing a lot of data migration. You want to make sure that those pieces tie out, but we also have a lot of clients that will use this proactively on a month-to-month basis, just as part of their month-end close, right? It's a lot easier to fix things the sooner you identify them. So this is helping as that identifier in order to kind of check that at the end of the month and make sure that everything ties out as you go forward. These KPIs, just think of these as kind of quick metrics, right? We've got our, some margin statistics. I've just got 5 or 6 here showing, but we've got about 20 that you can add in there. For example, I could see AP payments on time. So I want to get 70% of my vendors' payments out on time. Right now, we're getting 97% of our vendors paid on time. So we're on goal. Same with AR. I want to get, that's probably pretty unrealistic, but I'm in a demo instance, right? I want to get 70% of my AR clients paying on time. 100% of our great customer base is all paying on or before their due date. So that's good. But again, if this was a live demo, that might be 65 or lower, and then you'd want to improve that by using some of those other tools that we saw. The last piece here on the general tab is just some quick financial reports. So I've got a balance sheet, an income statement, a fund report. We were dealing with some not-for-profits there. So just to show the configurability here that we've got these out-of-box financial reports that we are just plugging into our financial dashboard. So not only is it our data that we're surfacing from these custom dashboards, but things you've already built, like your balance sheet, income statements, cash flows, things like that, you can also surface right here on the dashboard. I'm going to jump over to our cash tab quick here because that's probably the last thing on the financial dashboard we'll have time for. I might come back to the inventory and sales, but we do have a full-blown warehouse and sales dashboard that I'm going to highlight. So we may just breeze over those now. But for the highlights of the inventory and sales, we can see various sales statistics, who's selling what your top items are, your top profitability, top items being sold, things like that on those inventory tabs, some inventory by location metrics, which again, we'll get into all of that on our warehouse dashboard. Last thing here on the financial dashboard, as we kind of go through and highlight this, cash tab, right? Everybody's very interested in their cash positions typically. So we can see how much money we have in each bank account. Negatives are going to be any credit cards that we owe money on, but that are linked to bank accounts in Business Central, which I've seen be a very common practice. Each bank account now individually, we have that balance check. So what's my bank account? What GL account is that tied to? What's our posting group balance and what's our GL balance? So again, Luckily, this all ties out perfectly, but if it didn't, you could then see where the adjustments are needed, typically on your GL side, because now something is off. We can look here at liquid assets. So think of anything that's a bank account will get automatically brought in, but you can also add in clearing accounts that'll be at the setup, which I can show at the end as well. But here's just any sort of bank accounts plus clearing accounts that you want to include in your cash position. Cash usage is looking historically at how cash has trended, inflows and outflows. And then if I look at this cash flow forecast, I'm just going to recalculate this because I haven't calculated it in a bit. This is going to show you your future projections. So what it's going to show is it's going to show all of your current cash balances. It's going to show AR and AP, and it's also going to show released sales orders and purchase orders. And it's going to take either their expected shipment or receipt date plus their terms on the vendor side, and then their average paydays on the customer side. So it kind of brings that whole picture in to see what all of your anticipated inflows and outflows are. And then if all of that doesn't cover what you need and you had some recurring expenses that aren't going to hit your subledger, you can also include a cash flow budget, which is going to work exactly like a BC budget. Just think of things like payroll maybe, right? I've got $100,000 of payroll that's not going to flow through the subledger, not going to hit AP, but I still want to make sure that we've got that in our cash flow projections. So by all means, I can absolutely add that in. I'm going to leave this tab up just in case we do have time, Grant, to come back to it. Before I jump into the sales dashboard, are there any questions? I know we're going to go through this kind of quickly today, but want to make sure we hit the high points. The biggest point here from a new feature standpoint, if you've been on these in the past, is all of those additional AR aging metrics in terms of identifying late payers, making sure that those are highlighted and that they really stick out, as well as adding additional sorts and filters on that so that you can more easily see and drill down into your data.
Yeah, Ben. So for everyone that is checking out their chat box right now, we don't have any questions, but I'm going to post a app source link to Financial Dashboard. Every single one of our dashboards has a free 30-day trial. And even if you just want to download it to do that financial health check on your GL versus your subledger, we see that as a best practice, and we think you should definitely go for it. So Ben, I'll pass it back to you.
Awesome. And like I said, we're going to go into our warehouse and sales dashboard. So I'll skip over these two for now, just for the sake of time. But if we have time at the end, we'll jump back to them. So shifting gears now, we've talked about financial dashboard. There's about 6 or 7 different tabs there with about 30 different metrics and KPIs. We went over about a third of them, I would say so far. That's $600 a year. Unlimited users, that's price per tenant. So now we're going to jump into sales dashboard. Same thing. We've got a handful of different tabs and ways you can slice and dice your data here. $600 a year, price per tenant. So you can have as many users as you'd like in there and unlimited access. So with this, the sales dashboard, first we've got our geo and our local sales. So I've got this filter just to local. If you did the geo, show kind of the local map, either US or Canada are the two options we have right now. We're looking at adding others in for other localizations. And then the world map would be kind of a dot per country, right? So how much are you selling in those different areas? So if we focus on the US map that I have up here right now, first you have the data grid just to show state by state how much sales and how much credits you've got here to get to your net sales amount. And then if I come down to the map, this is just kind of a classic heat map or bubble chart to see, okay, in Texas, I can go ahead and click on that dot and it'll bring up all of the transactions that have been posted, or the customer ledger entries here in this case that it's popping up, or you can simply go ahead and actually click on the sales amount in the grid. So just showing kind of ease of use and accessibility here that we've got. Think of that again as your typical heat map or bubble map to show how much you're selling in each territory. The geo sales again is going to look very similar, but just have that world map. Like Grant said, highly recommend you just download the demo for 30 days and play with your own data, because that's always going to give, I feel like, a lot better indication if this tool is right for you. But absolutely, we'll go over again the high level here on the demo. So the next piece on the sales dashboard that we have here is our by date. So the first piece was high level, right? Show me all of the different states and just show me how much sales we have. This is going to be kind of more trend related, right? So today I haven't sold anything. This week I've sold $1,300 worth. This month I've sold $4,700, and this year I've done $40,000. So again, just quick metrics today, this month, this week, this year. Sales by date over the last 12 months, year to date sales per year. So 22, 23, and then 24 year to date. Again, just quick metrics that you can look into. You can drill down to see what is making that balance up. You can show the document, all that fun stuff. Again, very interactive, and all of this data is at your fingertips, right? I have not configured anything to get here. This is all just pulling off of those base BC tables and then filtering by the various date filters that we've got up top here. And then the monthly sales, this is going to show our current year. So for 2024, how much have I sold each month, right? January, February, great. March, we're only a few days in, so have a little dip there. And then we probably have some deferrals or something like that in April and May that we've posted here as well. So far that takes care of our geos, our by date, and it's going to work very similar for the rest. So I'm going to jump over to by salesperson, but think of this, by date, by item, by dimension, by salesperson, by customer, by specific sales order. All of the most popular ways to kind of slice and dice your sales data are what we've brought in here into our financial dashboard in order to kind of showcase this for you. So if I come in here now, I can see date range by date range. I've got this filtered down month by month. I can see how much everybody sold. You can see by month. You can see the totals. You can drill down. You can see trends. So everything was kind of steady. Must have sold some big deals in September, and then it kind of dropped down to be back to normal, right? Who our top salespeople are by volume. Again, just a quick little bar chart. So again, staying high level here, a lot of different metrics that you can jump into in order to analyze your sales data. The last one I'll jump into here for the sake of time is our dimension by dimension. So think of this as taking your XY axis. You can pick one dimension to be on your X axis, another dimension to be on your Y axis. In this case, I've selected customer down my rows. I've selected employee across my columns up top here. And then again, just like we've seen before, who's got what, right? So it's an X by Y axis grid. You can click into the data points to drill down into that specific data and just give a more granular look at all of your sales data related to this dimension by dimension view. All right, there we go. We got some graphs to show up, pretty consistent here, but this is taking your two global dimensions here. So I've got customer as one, employee by the other, and then I've got one dimension here split out by our various date ranges. Grant, any questions popping yet before I jump over to our warehouse dashboard?
We do have a question that came in the chat, Ben. So
Perfect.
Question for you is, do the sales come from parents or children customers?
So it's all going to be dependent on your configuration at the setup. So you can choose to have it be the sell to customer, which in that case would most likely be the children in most cases, or you can have it be the bill to customer, where again, in that case, it's going to be your parent customers. So by default, I would have to look, but I believe it's the sell to. So it would show everyone you're actually selling to. And then, but you can configure that as well. So great question. If you have that configured in your system, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions on that. And it looks like Grant also put the link in the chat, which has additional videos. It's got a setup guide, and then of course that 30-day free trial. So definitely recommend checking that out. Any other questions right now, Grant? Otherwise, I'm going to jump over to our third dashboard, which is our warehouse dashboard.
You are good to go, Ben.
Awesome. So far we've gone through financial dashboard, kind of high level across everything, sales dashboard, deep diving directly into all of our sales metrics. Now we're on the warehouse dashboard. Again, $600 a year for this tool, unlimited users, price per production tenant. So you can get that in there, get that downloaded. We'll also talk about our bundle. If you like everything that you're seeing today, it's $1,600 to bundle everything together and get all 4 of our dashboards. And again, that's per year. So keep that in mind as you're going through this. A really easy and affordable way to get some dashboards directly into Business Central. So with the warehouse dashboard here, I am on our shipments tab. So again, going across the top, a lot of different options. We can see shipment statistics, receipt statistics, how many counts and adjustments you've done, a deep dive into all of our inventory items, vendor analysis, sales order analysis, and then purchase orders, which I'll get into that purchase order one. That one's really neat. You can look at all your overdue purchase orders and then send reminders automatically to those vendors to say basically, hey, where's my stuff, right? We're past the expected receipt date and we still haven't received what we need on that purchase order. So kind of a mass way to do that if you're dealing with a lot of different vendors and have a lot of purchase orders. So quickly, as we've kind of seen before, similar theme, it's going to look very similar to everything else we've seen. Shipments. What have we shipped today, this week, this month, this year? And what are our daily averages this year, right? So we can see this month we've shipped $36,000 worth of goods. That consisted of 58 different shipments and 32 different shipment lines. On average, we're doing about $793 a day, and we're doing one shipment line and one shipment a day, it looks like there. Then we can get into some of our trend analysis, right? So number of shipment lines by date, just to kind of see what we're doing day by day. Year-to-date shipment lines going back 2019 till 2024. Monthly shipments, so we can see by month over the last year how much we've shipped each month. Monthly shipment lines, kind of same thing there. And then the day of week shipments and the day of week shipment lines. So here it's looking at, on average, how many shipments are you sending out on any given day? So in this case, if I'm to look at this, we've got a lot of volume on Monday, similar on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, not as much on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So this can also help kind of analyze, do we have the right people in the warehouse? Do we have enough people in the warehouse, right? If I have the same amount of staff on Monday as I do on Sunday, that probably doesn't make a lot of sense since our volume is 3 times as high on Mondays. So again, potentially we need extra people in the warehouse on those days. Receipts, it's going to look very, very similar. So let's take a look at our receipts here again, but just on the purchasing side, right? So how much from our vendors have we received today, this week, this month, this year? What are our receipts by date? What are our year-to-date receipt lines? And then what are our trends, right? So it doesn't look like I have much in here this year in terms of our receipts, but if I come down to our lines, we can see, again, the trends here, monthly receipts, monthly receipt lines, and then day by day, again, we saw that we had a bunch on Mondays from a shipment standpoint. Here on the receipt standpoint, it looks much of the same. So just a quick way to analyze your activity in your warehouse, both what's going out and what's coming in. If you have a lot of counts or adjustments going on in your warehouse, this tab can be very helpful. It's going to show, again, for your company, how many cycle counts you've done, how many positive adjustments you've done, and how many negative adjustments that you've done. So if you see a lot of cycle counts and a lot of adjustments, that's something that you may want to look into. And we also have some indicators on our actual inventory tab as well to see on the financial dashboard what those adjustments have been. So it's kind of just like a warning that you can look at. Next thing I'm going to jump into is our inventory analytics. This is typically people's favorite grid on our warehouse dashboard. So this is going to show every single item in your system, how many are currently on sales orders and purchase orders, how many you've got on hand, how many you've got available, what the total inventory value of those items is. And again, you can kind of sort this all up and down. How many you've sold, what the total sales dollars were, what the last time or last date you sold this was. Again, just kind of showing how you can filter or sort on all of this. Purchase quantities, purchase amounts, last time you purchased it. Then we get into some profit analytics, right? So total dollars of profit, what your profit percentage on that item is, your annual sales quantity and annual purchase quantities, turns, age of inventory, lead times, day supply lead time ratio, who your primary vendor for this item is. You could sort by that as well and see, I've got vendor 110 is the primary vendor on 3 of these items, right? If you're looking for volume discounts or better, treatment from your vendors based on what you're doing, you can kind of start to analyze how much you're actually buying from those vendors, and then maybe get some, price adjustments or negotiations with them. Gross margin ROI, and then our turns and earns index for our inventory. So again, looking very, very deep into those inventory analytics to be able to see more information at your fingertips, kind of in that one-stop shop that Grant said originally, to see all of that data in one place for your inventory. So if you're getting started with Business Central or you've been using it for a while and these are things that you're interested in, typically to get these right, they're not at your fingertips in Business Central out of box. Our tool is a great place to get that information. Kind of the alternative would be building this from scratch in another reporting tool or a Power BI or something like that. So if you're just getting started, it's great to kind of take these for a test drive in that free trial. Or if you're an active customer that's been looking for these for a while, there's no right time to get it implemented. I would say the right time is early, which is right now, right? Get it implemented and start to see how the data can benefit your business with the drill downs and the various KPIs and metrics that we've got listed here. The last thing I'm going to go into on our warehouse dashboard is our purchase order analysis. So here we can see all of the purchase orders that we have, all the different items that we're purchasing, quantities on hand, quantities on sales orders, things like that, if they're linked, and then the current outstanding quantities and dollar amounts and things like that, and what vendor we're buying it from. So here you'll notice we've got this follow-up date email. So I'm going to sort on this. So I've already followed up with these two vendors on 9/5/2023. If I want to follow up again, I can simply click this drop down and click send follow-up email selected. I can also look at the documents, things like that. I can open this in Excel. Not things we're going to jump into right now, but just figured I'd call those out as well. Any data grid that you've seen yet thus far, all of them can be opened in Excel. But what this follow-up email is going to do, I'm going to go ahead and click on that, is it's going to update my date, first of all, to say, okay, this has now been newly sent out. Let me go grab my email real quick and let me pop that open. All right. So this is the email that the vendor would get, right? Let me make that a little bit smaller. So you can quickly see now, hey, we've issued a purchase order. It's past its expected receipt date. Please reach out immediately to let us know where these items are at. It'll give them the item number, the description, the document number, how many was on that purchase order, the amount, and the requested receipt date. So again, you could select all of these at the same time and just mass blast them out to all of your vendors. And the feedback we've gotten here on our purchase order dashboard is just the ability to streamline that, right? You don't have to reach out to every vendor individually. You don't have to search through your system to see what's overdue and then potentially reach out to see like where your stuff is at. This will give you all of that information at your fingertips. It'll tell you when the last time you followed up was. It will show you again when those expected receipt dates are, and it will also show you kind of the receiving status indicator here, which will tell you, is it a stock order? Is it a special order? Are these orders linked? Are these purchase orders linked to sales orders, which we need to get those items from our vendors before we can even fulfill our sales order? So it's holding up the revenue side of the equation as well, right? A lot of good information here at your fingertips to take a look at in the dashboard and then be able to do some analytics on it. I'm going to leave this one up, Grant, just in case we have time to come back to some of the other things. I can pop into the vendors real quick because it looks like I got about another minute scheduled maybe for warehouse dashboard before jumping into our final piece, which is going to be history and statistics, which was one of my favorite. But while that loads here real quick, any other questions from the audience here? I see a bunch of links, so it looks like those are our setup pieces. Shared licensing details again. Yep, it's super simple. It's either $1,600 a year for the bundle or $600 a piece for the dashboards. The first three we've looked at, $900 standalone for history and statistics, and it's price per production tenant. So it is just one set flat price. You can have one user or 100 users. It doesn't matter. There's no volume pricing. That is the price that you're going to pay, and you get unlimited access for the year. And those are all yearly prices as well, by the way.
And Ben, we do have one more question as well, specific to warehouse dashboard. Will this go out to picking rates? I believe that was one of the first initial tabs you were talking about with shipments, receipts, counts, adjustments.
I would need more details on what they're looking for in terms of picking rates. Are you talking about picking statistics based on your sales order data? We don't have anything like that currently, so I would like to kind of dig more into that one. We're always adding more features. Let's see who that one came from. Jennifer, it looks like. So if you want to reach out after, I'd be happy to take a look and dig into that one more, but don't have any statistics currently on kind of either pick accuracy or efficiency of your picks. We do have another tool. It's not a dashboard, but it is our distribution control center, which helps kind of streamline the warehouse document piece. It kind of replaces that, right, to make the pick, pack, ship process easier. So I'd also definitely recommend checking that one out if you haven't already. Any other questions?
Doesn't
How many
look like
picks
it, Ben,
per
but
user per hour? Okay, I got another. I just got a comment, so I will look at that. How many picks per user per hour? That could be a cool metric that we could add in as well. So I'll follow up with that. Last piece before I jump into history and statistics. This is just our vendor analytics. So quickly, you can see vendor by vendor, some quick information about them, number of items they're the primary vendor on, balance due, PO lines, past due lines, lead times, how much we've purchased from them, receipts, returns percentage, and on-time delivery lines and percentage to get to a performance score. So it's basically, kind of to boil it down, it's looking at how much we're buying from this vendor and how much of those purchases are needing to be returned, indicating that something was defective or the vendor, didn't live up to their promise and we had to return those items. And then how often are they delivering to us on time, right? The two most important things, because we're buying things to then go back and sell them or create something and then sell them, right? So we want to make sure we're returning as little as possible and they're delivering on time as much as possible. It will take those metrics and then look at on-time delivery and returns, top and bottom vendors, and then it will give them an overall score to see who your top vendors and bottom performing vendors are based on those three things that we just mentioned, right? Again, the activity that we're doing, how much of that activity is being returned, and how often they're late on sending us what we've agreed upon. So with that, I'm going to jump into our history and statistics. So let's jump out of here real quick. Got about 10 minutes left. We'll leave a little bit of time at the end as well to do some more Q&A. But the first thing I want to show here on history and statistics, which I'm assuming most people have not seen before. This is new. We've been adding a lot to it over the last few months as well. It's called our sales document search. So I know Business Central has that global search now, but we found it still to be a little bit lackluster, right, in terms of functionality. You can find things, but it doesn't give you a lot of information on the screen. This is our attempt at solving this and kind of the reason behind why we built this, right? So if I look, first I've got all these filters, right? What types of documents do I want to include? In this case, I've just got some sales documents. Maybe I also want to include, let's just include everything, right? I want to include archived sales documents, posted invoices, things like that. I'm going to hide that, include documents. And then here's where I can toss some of my filters in right now. So I have a filter on my customer number and my item number. So what this is going to do is it's going to look at every sales transaction in the system, whether it be open, closed, archived, posted, literally everything that we just selected, and find every item 1017 for customer 100, right? I've already loaded this because it was my default view. We can also have different views here. So let's go to 1021, for example. We'll just load those records real quick. Might not be any records in 1021. Let's go to, let's see if there's anything for professional service for them. Maybe not. That's probably why I'm doing 1017 for our demo here. Let's see. Oh, it cleared out all my documents. One of those views must have had no documents being returned. So let's turn those back on. And now let's load those records. So what this is going to do again, it's searching all of that data. So I'm going to hide, where is it? Let's see, show hide filters. There we go. Get a little bit more real estate on the screen. Now I can see every quote, order, invoice, return order, posted shipment, again, everything in one view. If I want, I can click on this hyperlink in order to pop that open. It will show me that document. So the big complaint we usually hear when looking for sales document data is, I don't know whether I'm looking in the orders, the shipments, the posted invoices. I really don't know where my document is. We've kind of solved that by being able to use, an external document number filter, an order number filter, customer filters. You could leave this all blank and just return all the documents. You could sort by locations, descriptions, various dimension codes, start and end date filters, things like that. But again, the main goal here being the ability to return everything within your criteria, no matter what table it lives in from a sales side, and be able to quickly kind of analyze that data. If I come back up to the top here, let's look at one of these orders. I can click the drop down here to show all of the lines. Again, remember we're filtered to 1017 in terms of our item. Let me show those filters again. I'm going to clear that just to return some more data. And we'll load it again just to show what that tree view looks like. So let's try to find an order. Okay, here we go. Got a few orders here. That first one has multiple items. This one has multiple items as well. So now we can look at, again, the bolds are the headers, the non-bolds are our lines. So we can see on this order some dimensions. We can see the items they purchased, how many they purchased, what the total unit price was, and what the total amount for each of the lines, as well as the document total was. You can view just the headers. You can view just the lines, a lot of just quick and easy ways to analyze this data. And then of course, seems everybody's favorite is always just opening things up in Excel and playing with it themselves. So you can absolutely also do that here as well. And then like I mentioned before, if you like this view, you can save it. I'll call it the Toolbox Tuesday view. And if you really like it, you can even default it so that that view is what pops up every single time you log into the system. If you ever need to see those views, you can see all the different views you have here. We see that that customer 100 item 1017 was the default that popped in when we first started. Again, you can click on that and it will reload based on what you have there. We see many fewer documents there as intended. And then the last thing here, we've got our dimension codes. We also have the ability to display the actual names of those dimensions if we want to see the dimension name rather than the dimension code. So this is one of our biggest additions. Recently came from a handful of different client feedback as well. So really always appreciate our client feedback as to how we can make our tools stronger, but would highly recommend if you have any of these requirements, download history and statistics and check out our sales document search in order to more easily search your sales data. Grant, any other questions before I jump into some of the previous stuff that we've had there for a while, but we also have added some new features there as well. Just want to make sure.
Nothing on this end, Ben, but want to take a quick pause, everyone. If you've seen something that you like or you think might be beneficial for your business or your clients, go ahead and hit the react button real quick. Let's make sure we're getting the full value out of this Toolbox Tuesday. All right, we got some thumbs up. We got a heart. Got another thumbs up there. All right, a little clap action too. Cool. So Ben, you're good to go. Looks like everyone's finding some good value in this one so far.
Yep, absolutely. And I also see, before I jump over, I see a question, can you add the vendor and customer names on these instead of just the vendor and customer numbers? That's already there. So if you come down here, we can see our customer number, we can see our customer name, and then even in the filter, you could search by that, and that has kind of the wildcards already built in as well. So you don't have to have the full search parameters. You can just go ahead and type those in as you see. Like I could just literally put snow as part of my customer name here, and it would filter that down. I wouldn't even need the filter here. Oops, wouldn't need the 100 filter. I could just say snow, and then if I had another customer that had that in their name, it would pop them up as well. The only thing to add is this is only for sales documents currently. We have had a few requests to do the vendor side, haven't had a chance to actually build that out yet since most of those requests came last week, but it is something that we're looking into as well. So if you or a client you know have a need to do that on the vendor side and have people interested in purchasing, that's definitely something that we can look at speeding up. But for the time being, it's just on our roadmap just because we don't have enough demand for it. But definitely as that demand builds, we'll continue to look at adding that in. All right, I know I've only got about 5 minutes left, so I want to make the most out of this. Most of you have probably seen this before if you've been on other Toolbox Tuesdays, or I've probably emailed you with this because this is one of my favorite things in Business Central. Save the best for last, right? Customer history, item history, and vendor history, as well as the ability to do change logs on those records, as well as things like bank accounts and documents and various other things. So we talked about one-stop shop. This is probably about as true as a one-stop shop gets, right? I'm deep diving into a customer record, whereas previously we were kind of looking at system data holistically across multiple modules and things like that. But now I'm digging into just customer 100, which we've been using on this demo. How much have they purchased or how much have we sold to them over the last 12 months? What's their current AR balance? How long does it typically take them to pay? Fulfillment date, on-time delivery percentage. What are they buying from us by item category? What are their monthly sales trends? What's their average payday history? AR statistics, customer AR balance trends. So we can see everything is kind of aligning up to tell us that this is a high risk customer, right? Their AR balance is high. They don't pay on time. Their AR balance is continuously rising, right? Again, the purpose that we download and create dashboards is so that we can make decisions off of them, right? So by being able to look at this and be able to quickly tell, that gives us a lot of good information that we can feed off of. A customer map, what items they're buying from us mostly. So they're pretty much exclusively buying Microsoft Surface 8s from us. What's every item they've bought from us in the last 12 months, quantities, amounts, returns, last time we sold it, things like that. Customer sales documents. So look at what we just did. This already has some preset filters on to only bring in records for this customer, just since there's a lot of things we don't load it right on the page by default. But if you want to load that, I can now see every single quote, order, invoice, shipment, things like that for this customer. And then down below, it'll break it out more granularly. So every open order that we currently have for this customer, every open quote for this customer, every open return, job, posted invoice, and then one of my personal favorites, the change log. And we'll get into that more on the item piece as well. Again, just for the sake of time, I'm going to go through this quickly and I'll jump down to the change logs. But same thing for the item. How much do we have on hand, available, lead times? Again, just a ton of information about this item at your fingertips. How much have we bought and sold over the last 12 months? Inventory level fluctuation, purchase price and sales price fluctuations. I like this one a lot. Every open quote, order, and return that this item currently sits on. So across every customer, basically everywhere this item sits, every open purchase order and purchase quote and purchase return. So all the stuff we're buying, or all the people we're buying this item from, I should say. Any open jobs that this item's on, production orders, inventory by location. So again, I've got 30 of these in Chicago, 20 in Dallas, 56 in Tampa, a few in my returns, and nothing in transit. Inventory aging and valuation. So what's all of the different inventory that we've purchased? How old is it? How much money did we buy it for? And then finally, this change log, which I'll spend a second on here. So everyone loves turning on the change logs, I've found, but they've had a tough time monitoring them because they go into those change log entries and it's kind of hard to filter and sort on the data that they need. So what we've done is taken anything that you're already tracking. The main requirement is that you're just have those change logs turned on and you're tracking certain fields. And now it brings that data into our item history. In this case, it'll work the same on customers, vendors. You can do it on bank accounts with field monitoring. You can even get alerts in your email when certain fields change. I know a lot of people and a lot of my clients use that on bank accounts. If the routing number, account number changes, that's typically a red flag, right? We want to make sure that we're proactively monitoring any bank account changes, especially on our vendors' bank accounts, and the change logs, right? So who changed it? When did it change? What changed? What did it used to be? What is it now? I get that all the time. Hey, I thought this used to be Microsoft Surface 9 and now it's 8. Okay, well, yeah, that's because Ben updated it on March 24th, right? You can easily now see that directly in your system. So Grant, I'll answer a few more questions if there are any. I know we're getting short on time here, so I want to respect that for everybody because we're right at the top of the meeting, but I'll also pop the presentation back open if that works for you. Let me flip that really quick and I'll let you take us home, and I'll monitor that chat box as well if there's any final questions that we need to get into.
Yeah, it sounds like a game plan, Ben. So first things first, for everyone on the call, we do have a YouTube channel where we will be posting this recording. So we had a question come in, can you please share the recording of this session as I want to play it along and set up a trial? I'm going to post that YouTube channel in there. We typically get our recordings out by the end of the week, and we will also be sending an email as well. So in terms of next steps, we've gone through our 4 dashboards. We've shown you how these fit a gap in Business Central, what the solutions are. Now it's time to take some action. So for those of you on the call, if you're a user, feel free to download any of the free trials that we posted into your sandbox environment. If you're a partner of ours, feel free to download these into your demo environment. Reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you as well in terms of that configuration. Watch our activation video, go to the setup page and click generate demo button. It's really that easy. And then it takes just about 30 minutes to get set up. And now in terms of resources, like we said, we do have a comprehensive YouTube channel. We have a product page for each of our extensions showing pricing, summaries, all the different screenshots, as well as the user setup guides. And we have our product guide that you can download from our website that will give you a fit gap analysis of all 28 of our extensions, including configuration and training time. So with that being said, if anyone has any more questions on the dashboard bundle, if you have questions in general on partnership or how configuration works, please feel free to hop into the chat box. But for now, Ben, I think you're good to close this one out.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you joining today. If there's any questions, like Grant said, please feel free to reach out to either of us. We'd be happy to answer those. Last parting note, I would just say highly recommend getting some of these 30-day free trials into your system and letting us know how they work for you. So again, really appreciate everybody joining today, and we'll talk to you all on the next Toolbox Tuesday.